Wow. I think I always thought that UU churches should do more jazz, because we really are a jazz religion where we might take a major theme from one religion, and then that's the basic song, and then we might add in some riffs from different religions, and then we improvise. Last Friday evening, we had at least 75 people here at our first Friday potluck. At a record during a rainstorm that should have kept many people home. People came out to share community. There were longtime members who are regulars at the dinner. There were those who were visiting for the first time. Some Buddhist monks from India dropped by. There was a ballroom dancing lesson after the meal, and people aged 7 to their 70s were dancing. The kitchen was a chaotic bustle of food and cooperation. It was a manifestation of our proclamation, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Winston-Salem is an inclusive, supportive community. The Come As You Are potluck brought young and old together, black, white, Asian, gay, lesbian, straight, vegetarians, and meat eaters. We talked and listened and laughed. Imagine if the whole world could be like that evening. Gandhi said, "You must be the change you want to see in the world." I saw that on a bumper sticker on a bulletin board back in our religious education wing. This is what our children are teaching us, and this is our challenge. In a world full of disjointed, disgruntled, and distrustful people, we long for a community that is accepting. That is why we support this fellowship. We can make this community the change we want to see in the world. By sharing our joy, we build a better world. If we want a welcoming world, we need to be welcoming. And welcoming is more than just waiting for people to stop by. It is actively inviting the community in. Think of the community groups we welcome into our space. This building is a good investment because it allows us to provide space for all sorts of people. Tonight at 5 p.m., we're opening our space to those in the Winston-Salem community who find meaning in Buddhism. Some belong to our fellowship, and some do not. 2 weeks from now, we will be inviting all who are interested in freedom of religion when Barry Lynn comes to town. Please use the flyer in your bulletin to share this with others. And there are also bigger flyers out in the hall. When people talk to you about 10 Commandments being placed on the steps of City Hall, let them know that a nationally known speaker is coming to our fellowship. Share the joy of freedom. Today, after the service, Lisa Castro, a friend of the congregation, is providing lunch. We have provided rehearsal spaces for an upcoming production of the Vagina Monologue. And our ad will appear in their bulletin for the play so that all who attend this affirmation of women will know that UUWS is an open, warm, welcoming, nurturing space. In addition to special events, each Monday the Symphony Chorale meets here. Some of our members of our choir are also members of that choir. We help the city embrace the arts. Each Wednesday, a 12-step group meets here. We help people overcome addictions. The Triad Buyers Club meets here every 4 weeks. This is a food cooperative that brings moderate-cost health food to Winston-Salem. And they are also the source of our free trade coffee, which helps Central American farmers get more for their efforts. The Path of the Moon meets here every month, giving pagans in the community a safe place to worship. The United Religious Initiative has met here several times, providing a place for conversations between UUs, Jews, Episcopalians, Baha'is, Moravians, and much more. We have hosted meetings that have promoted race relations and advocated for the rights of gay, lesbians, bisexual, and transgendered people. By being welcoming and inclusive, we become known in the community as a place of peace and justice. The second phrase of the mission statement that we adopted 2 years ago is spiritual freedom. And this is certainly reflected in our recent marketing survey. 46.5% of the respondents reported that they thought God was the mysterious force of life within us and all around us. This mystic view resembles the views of transcendentalists such as Emerson, Thoreau, and Margaret Fuller. Though this was the predominant view, it can really not ever be a dominant view, because being open to the mystery means that questions are welcome. There's no way to be dogmatic about a mysterious God, saying you must believe in whatever. One must always be open to new clues. One must listen to the beliefs and doubts of others. Which leads us to the second most common response. 17.4% said, I do not know if God exists. Agnosticism is an expression of freedom. It is the ability to recognize that the picture indeed is unclear, knowing that even to question is an answer. 7% state that there is no God, but these people still believe in the importance of human compassion and community. Free to decide for themselves, they recognize the freedom of others. 5% believed in one personal God. These are people who are actually theological Unitarians, along the tradition of our founder, William Ellery Channing. And 4% identified themselves as pagans, believing in many gods and goddesses. Think of how diverse these opinions about God are. What other faith would tolerate that? We not only believe in religious freedom, we live it. The number one goal of our strategic plan is to foster an atmosphere of mutual respect. We do pretty well, but some comments were made on the survey that we still do a little too much Christian bashing, and that's not welcoming to the Christians among us. But I have seen improvements on this count and have also worked within myself to avoid the quick and easy laugh, and quick joke. But it's something we have to continually be aware of. And we also need to respect the political views of others, even when they disagree with ours. And I just love going to the forum, hearing people speak up and just really stake their claim and allow to take their hits and be able to know that they're still loved and welcomed with a whole wide variety of ideas. And it's because we let our debates be about the merits of ideas and not impersonal insults. If we feel that we have the final answer, there is no room for wisdom to evolve. Evolving wisdom is the next phrase in our mission statement. The two top reasons people cited for joining were to be with like-minded individuals and for intellectual stimulation. I think that we are like-minded, not in that we don't have differing opinions, but we are like-minded in our curiosity. The curiosity stimulated by the forum and our religious programs, and hopefully occasionally a sermon. Many volunteers work to educate our children, and it's no surprise that our religious education wing is bursting with children. So many parents want their kids to experience the positive experience of religion. They want them not to be motivated by shame or guilt, but by a holy curiosity. Our youth goes out into the community, visiting other churches, cleaning up Polo Park, feeding the hungry, learning that it is important to live what you believe. One of the great missions of this church is teaching our children to have compassion. And also the many adults who teach our children learn more about life and the Unitarian Universalist way. After spending time with our children, they come away with a hope for the future. One of the priorities that this fellowship established in our 5-year plan was the expansion of our religious education wing. We need more room for all who are hungry to learn. In April, we'll be inviting consultants to help us determine how much we can actually afford to build. This is a process we went through before 8 years ago when we built this building. We are on the brink of outgrowing it. I look at how crowded we are here today, and I say, where would we put new people if they chose to visit? And I can only imagine what the parking lot looks like in front. I imagine everybody's parked up on the grass along the side all the way out to the road. We're very well on the way of meeting the goals in our strategic plan. The plan has been developed over the past couple years from the bylaws and lots of surveys and lots of small meetings and trying to figure out what is it, who are we, and what do we want to do. One of the things that came up that we wanted to fund our budget 100% with our pledges. In 2001, we funded just 77% of our budget with the canvas. In 2002, we raised it to 82%, and last year we raised it to 83%. This year, we want to move even closer to 100%. And this is important because if we work to fully fund the budget, then we will be freer to use our special fundraisers, not as desperation attempts to try to fill the gap, but opportunities for us to raise money for different organizations in the community that we want to work with to make this a better town, better county. We revised the bylaws in 2002, and we completed a policy and procedure manual by the end of last year. By having our committees write their policies down, it's easier for all people to know what's happening in the fellowship. And these manuals are located in the library and the main office for anybody who says, gee, what committee do I want to be involved with? They can look and find out what these committees actually plan to do. It empowers the committees by having them actually sit down and plan what their policies will be. The board reviews these policies, but doesn't create them from on high. This is a method of casting a wide net to take advantage of all the good ideas that are out there. Not leadership from the top by a small clique, but an invitation to all to participate in building the policy and procedure and the whys and wherefores of this congregation. This year, the marketing survey was another part of the strategic plan. By knowing who we are and why we gather, we can more accurately share who we are with the community. Plus, we can find the people in the community who are more likely to be UUs and yet do not know it. For example, 114 people indicated that they read the arts section of the newspaper, yet only 33% look at the religious ads. Only 3 people said they were motivated to attend the congregation to visit by a newspaper ad. Perhaps that is because we're advertising in the wrong section. We're going to test this hypothesis for the next year or so and advertise primarily in the arts section, thinking that the UUs, a great percentage of us, are those who are interested in the humanities and what is happening to enrich the human condition. But the most important reason that people have come to the fellowship is because of personal recommendation. You may notice that the flyer in your order of service is about the size of a dollar bill. This is so you can carry it conveniently with you in your wallet. This is for the upcoming event with Barry Lynn, but we also plan to make some that are just generalized so you can carry this whenever the topic of religion comes up and you want to speak about it. Because UUs are notoriously tongue-tied when talking about their faith. Ask them about any other subject, they are certain to have an opinion. Because we are so open, it is often hard to describe this community in a few words. So a cheat sheet, doubling as an invitation, can help us make that person-to-person contact. Also, it's important to share our joy by being in the community. Many of us enjoy chatting and discussions. What if we held our book discussions at Borders or some other bookstore to let other people know the type of ideas that are discussed here? Many of us are interested in the arts. What if we made our presence known at the street fairs and the art gallery hops? The marketing, publicity, or outreach, and we're trying to find a name that doesn't offend everybody, but it doesn't seem possible. We are trying to, but the more important than what we're called, we're going to be meeting today after the service to develop a plan of action, and all are welcome to attend. Now try to find ways to really let the people know what a wonderful place this is. But why should we tell people about this place? Partly because we can't help it. If we truly enjoy this community, we won't be able to contain ourselves, and we'll want more people to know about it. Sometimes when something is precious, we have an opposite response. We want to protect it, to keep it small and manageable. I think in my own experience, it's kind of like when you find a band or a musician that you really like. I mean, I remember when I was about the only person who listened to, the Police when they got their first album, and I thought, wow. And then they got popular, and it became less enjoyable because it wasn't my own special thing. And, I think of someone like locally, like Claire Fader and the Vaudevillains, that, boy, if she gets popular, she'll no longer be ours. And so sometimes we have that same impulse with our congregation that it's, this is that special thing, kind of a Liberals Anonymous place. But if we truly enjoy it, we'll look to invite others because we know that this place has enriched our lives. If we want to call ourselves inclusive, it's impossible to do if our doors are not open. There is a joy in this place that is worth sharing. We all have a share in supporting this fellowship. We share our time and our treasure to build this community. And those opportunities will be coming in the upcoming month during the pledge drive. But there is more that we can share. We can share our story with strangers. We can let friends know about this community that brings us meaning. then there will be more people to share the work, bringing their own time and treasure, and bringing us together and making us stronger. Tell people to come as they are. Their beliefs are welcome here. Their questions are welcome here. We welcome people of all ages, race, sexual orientation, political affiliation, or personal belief about God. The third principle of the UUA states acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. This is a good summary of who we are, or at least who we strive to be. But there are ways that we could be more inclusive. We are wider than our statements of inclusivity would suggest. And like all UUs, we tend to be a little over-intellectual. We like to deliberate on the manifestations of affections and compassions intrinsically and extrinsically, when we should just love our neighbors as ourselves. Rather than affirming and promoting the inherent worth and dignity of every person, perhaps we should just assume that everyone is important. Rather than respecting the interdependent web of which we are a part, we should just care for the earth and all living things. Sometimes our verbiage makes it harder than it has to be. Our message is really simple. Come as you are. You are free to decide, and it is up to each of us to build the community we all want to live in. Come as you are. You are free to decide. It is up to each of us to build the community we want to live in. Thank you.